Allison's joining us right now.
Excellent. And
a welcome sight.
She brought coffee.
I brought you hot chocolate.
A welcome sight.
Thank you.
Or the mayor comes and the hot cocoa comes.
You like that?
The hot cocoa
This is how we
comes.
treat our guests.
Quality operation.
I've been asking for it for an hour and a
Appreciate
half.
braving the elements to come down
My
here.
great pleasure.
Yeah, so it's over, right? I mean, for New York City, we've dodged the worst of it.
We dodged the bullet. Still a little bit of snow probably through the day. A lot of cleanup to do, particularly as you go farther out into the outer boroughs. But this is nothing like we feared it would be.
Well,
all right, John, great to be here. Special edition of the Steve Malzberg Show. I'm still trapped, kind of, in my bunker. And, folks, it is so good to be back with you. John, I got to tell you, to see Allison Camerata kiss Mayor de Blasio, I have no idea what that was all about.
The weather does strange things to people.
Mayor de Blasio stood there and warned us, and I'm not blaming him. I guess I'm blaming the weather forecasters. This storm in New York and in parts of Jersey where I am was nowhere near anything like they said it would be. Nothing. Not windy, not blizzardy, not 2 feet of snow. Is it that an inexact science that even while it was happening, they still told us blizzard? They couldn't get it right? I don't get weather forecasters. I'm sorry.
Well, there's a lot of questions about that. Of course, Steve, we know these politicians can get it wrong, and they will be the first to tell you it's better to overestimate what's going to happen, not underestimate what's going to happen. And, you know, the snow does strange things to people. And, Steve, if I was there, I would bring you a glass of hot chocolate. I don't know about that kiss, though. But Steve is in his bunker, and we'll get to Steve in just a second. But we want to talk about what we're going to do here today on the show. As you can see, Steve is somewhat isolated in his bunker, as he calls it. We called it the igloo earlier. He's going to be joining us throughout the next 3 hours here. We'll try to recreate the Steve Malzberg Show in its original form as best we can. We're going to have a bunch of special guests. And also, guys, I don't know if you tuned in yesterday, partly because of the snow. We had special coverage as well, and we got to hear from a lot of our audience out there calling in today. And we're going to continue to do the same thing today. So stay tuned for the next 3 hours. Everybody at home, you're going to have a chance to call in. We're going to talk about a lot of things today. Talk about Keystone XL Pipeline, maybe Benghazi a little bit. And Steve and I are also going to talk about my interview that I did with Navy SEAL Chris Kyle before his death a few years ago. We talked to him and what he said a couple of years ago that still gives me chills today. So we're going to talk about all that. So let's bring Steve back in. We also have Ron Christie joining us on the phone from Washington, D.C. And we'll turn it over to Steve, and we'll let him take the lead from the next few minutes. Steve, go ahead.
All right, great, John, and looking forward to that interview. I saw the movie over the weekend, and it was just chilling and fascinating. And Ron, welcome aboard, my friend. Good to talk to you again. Of course, Ron Christie, a special assistant to George W. Bush, Dick Cheney, and you read him at the Daily Beast. Ron, let me ask you, the event that took place in Iowa over the weekend, the Steve King event, as many call it, let's focus on Sarah Palin. Yesterday, John asked me on this show what I thought about that, and I don't like to say anything negative about her because I don't like to feel like I'm piling on with the mainstream media. I think she has a lot to add. I don't know what happened in that speech. It was a rambling mess, but I don't think she's a serious candidate. Do you?
No, good afternoon, Steve, and I guess welcome to this Snowmageddon edition of the Steve Malzberg Show. I'm stuck down here as well. Amtrak decided they didn't want me coming back to New York today, so you and I are both in our bunkers. But listen, I like Sarah Palin like you do. I think that she is a remarkably smart woman, remarkably accomplished, and I think that she has a lot to offer in the national debate. But watching her in Iowa, I think, would reinforce the impression that many liberals have, and I think made a lot of conservatives sort of scratch their head and have a bit of cause for concern and say, she has a place in the national stage, but I don't know that running for president of the United States in 2016 is in the best interest of Governor Palin or for the party.
But Ron, I want to ask you something that Steve said. I think we can be somewhat critical of Palin at this point without being cast in the same light as the mainstream media. There's certainly, based on what happened the last couple of election cycles when you had a very crowded field, there's some concern, I think, from folks who want to see a candidate emerge a little bit quicker this time, and they're concerned about the field being perhaps too crowded. What do you think, Ron?
Well, I think that's exactly right. And you look at so many people who are at the outside looking in, and I'm talking about former Maryland Governor Bob Ehrlich. I'm talking about the famed neurosurgeon Ben Carson. I'm talking about any number of Republicans who think that this is so wide open that what the heck, why don't I just jump in this? And I guarantee you that has to be somewhat of the calculus behind Governor Palin. But when you look at the implosion that I think that we had as a party the last time of having so many debates, having so many opportunities for Republicans to rip themselves apart, that by the time that we settled on Governor Romney as the nominee, we had a badly wounded candidate. And I just think that if we follow that same prescription in 2016, the Republican Party is headed for another disaster.
All
So
right, guys,
we've
we've
got
got
to
to take
make
a quick break here. We got to step aside for a commercial break. We'll be back with Steve Malzberg and Ron Christie. And please call in